I loved your book, and I loved the way that I read this article by you in which you has talked about translating with an accent. So I love
Yes.
the way that. Can you talk a bit about that, please?
Okay. So yes, so translating with an accent is one of my favorite parts of being a translator. So firstly, I have to start with saying that I'm not a full-time translator. My main job is as a writer myself. So I do essays, I do children's books, I do a whole lot of other writing. But as a translator, I just pick and choose, projects which I personally like, or I feel like there is potential for my creativity to come out and so on. So when I began translating, I think I began to articulate this idea of translating with an accent rather recently. But I've translated two other works before. One was by Dr. Kota Shivram Karant, and the other was Kodagina Gaurama, who's this early 20th century, one of the earliest feminist writers in Kannada. And the idea was that I was very clear I didn't want to translate into an English which made it sound like a British person or an American writer had written it. Because we in India, we speak English very, very differently. Like I'm sure the way you would speak English in Bombay or in Delhi or wherever would be very different from the way I speak it in Bangalore or Mysore or in wherever other parts of Karnataka. So I wanted to be reminded and to remind the readers also that this English is coming from a certain geographical, socio-political, cultural background and not flatten it and say, everybody in India speaks the same way. And that's absolutely not the case. So that's where the idea of the accent comes from. So if mine is a very Kannada, uh, my English it comes with a certain Kannada accent, which might not be immediately recognizable to somebody else, but it is there. I speak Kannada at home, so these ideas do come into the English that I speak and into the English that I write in and translate in. And therefore, that's how it started. That's where the thoughts came from, which is why I made several choices in Heartlamp also. For example, in southern India, we don't say roti. Roti is a
Mhm.
you would say roti, but in here it is roti for us. So it's a very
Mhm.
slight difference, and
Yeah,
there are some translators who will say roti because they want to assume that everybody in India says roti, which is not at all the case. And roti is of course not flat bread either. Roti is roti, And
right.
so for me, it was very important to maintain these things as say that it is roti, which is why wherever the word comes in Heartlamp, I've written it as ROTTI. It might be a small thing, but it made a huge difference to me. And it's the same with the sari. Up north you might say pallu. We don't use the word pallu. We use the word serugu here. And
Mhm.
unless we start talking about these regional differences, the idea that is conveyed to a non-Indian reader or a non-Kannada reader is that everybody speaks the same way, which is absolutely not the case. So this was about maintaining that diversity in language. And also, I was very clear I wanted to reject sorry, my dogs, Western centricity in the way English is written because, uh, I mean, many choices. We don't, again, going back to this idea that everything has to be made easy for the Western reader because somebody sitting in London or New York or wherever wouldn't understand the English we speak. Of course, I mean, I don't care if they don't understand. They can learn. If they want to, they can learn. Otherwise, there are plenty of other books that they can pick up. So this idea of catering to the West was something I was very clear about not doing because we have, I mean, I'm sure all of you read or you watch movies which come from outside of the South Asian region. And nobody has made it easy for us to understand. We have taught ourselves how to watch these films. We have taught ourselves how to read these books or listen to these music, right? And it's fine. We have to tell these people to also learn. I think that's perfectly doable if someone's really interested. Yeah, so that's where it comes from. And sorry, I don't want to, just to add to this, there's that famous interview with Osame. I just, because I'm always forget his name. Osmane Sembene, the Senegalese director. There's this, it's very easy to find him online. So he talks about how, so he was asked whether people, he's a Senegalese film director, I think in the 1960s and 70s. He was asked if people in Europe would understand his films, and he said, I don't care if they understand or not, because Europe is not his center. He said, I don't want to be the sunflower that turns towards the sun, and that I am the sun myself. If they want, they can watch my movies
Wow.
and learn from it. And
Mhm.
that's something I keep going back to, because it's about time we started thinking about that, when it comes to our literature, to our films, to our music and everything. They can learn. It's as simple as that. Yeah.
I found the language very refreshing. I mean, I thought that, like, oh, you can actually write in language like that as well. Because when I was writing my book, I was like, thoda sa, like, like self-conscious about my language. Though I tried to write in English, which is the
Hmm.
way that I speak Hindi anyways, Hindi and English together.
Yeah.
But
Right.
it was very refreshing. And I was wondering whether this is your voice or Banu Mushtaq's voice. I mean, how much did you try to, I mean, how much is the sentence construction the way that she would speak, and how much is it yours?
Um, I mean, that's a difficult question to answer, I would say, because the English is all mine, obviously, because I wrote the book in
Hmm.
English. But again,
Hmm.
the stories do come from Kannada, which she wrote. So it's very, I
Hmm.
think it's not possible in any work of literature to completely, separate the two and say that this is what is mine and this is what is not mine or so. I think just like how there are many versions of Kannada, I'm sure that obviously that's the same as Hindi as well. The Hindi you speak in Bombay is very different from the Hindi spoken in Delhi or Haryana or wherever else.
Hmm.
So the Kannada comes from a certain socio-geographical, political, economic context for sure. But the English, I would say, comes from the way I was thinking of the English that we speak and we engage in as a Kannada speaking person. So I think the English is that, but sentence construction wise, of course, I mean that's again it's going into the technical side of translation, right? I mean, so every the exact same sentence cannot be recreated in the exact same way in any other language, whether it is English or Hindi or Tamil or whatever. So I think that's there. So this is the point is about the English being very recognizable to us Indians. It is the way
Hmm.
we speak English. Maybe you would
Right.
substitute some Hindi words, but then I would substitute it with the Kannada word. So, for example, array or che or thu or things like that, all these little expressions. So those come from the language that is the source text.